Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and start the video for housekeeping. Thank you all who are here. We're gonna get started here shortly. Enjoy the video. Hopefully it helps you guys get acclimated to this virtual classroom. Now for some housekeeping. Be sure you're comfortable and ready to watch the presentation. That means wear headphones if possible.
Take any bathroom breaks if you need them.
Make sure you don't have any distractions or interruptions.
Please keep in mind that we are recording this virtual classroom session so that others who couldn't make it can watch at a later time.
Any links, documents, or resources mentioned in this virtual classroom will be made available to you.
We will be answering any questions at designated spots throughout the presentation.
Now here's what you can expect. When you first log on, you will see a page that looks similar to this. On the left, the presentation or speakers, and on the right, the chat box.
We will have designated spots throughout the presentation to ask questions. That said, we would love to see you interact on the chat. If you have any questions or comments during the presentation, enter them in the chat box here.
We will go through and answer your questions during the designated question times throughout this presentation.
Note, the default settings are to send to everybody and to be in chat mode. If you need to send a message to administration, presenters for example, you can't hear the speakers, you'll need to change your chat box setting to send to admin only. And type your message, then send it. Only the admin and presenters will see your message.
Oh, and in this virtual classroom, we are doing something special. At the end of the presentation, we will be selecting a few of you to be on camera, live with everyone. You'll be either asking a speaker a question or sharing what you like best about the presentation.
If you would like to be on camera, you will need to request to speak. To do that, go to the top left corner of the chat box and click on the hand icon where it says request to speak. If you change your mind, you can always cancel the request.
If you're chosen, you'll be taken to a page like this. Be sure to go through the checklist so you can log on and connect your video and audio. Click continue and start the test. If you can see your video and hear your audio, click yes, and you are now ready to enter the virtual classroom.
When you enter the room, be sure your camera is on and your audio is muted. When it's your turn to speak, you can turn your audio back on. When you're done, you will be put back in as a regular attendee.
That's it. You're now ready for the presentation. Sit tight and we will be getting started shortly. Awesome. Thank you guys for attending. I'd like to introduce Miss Barbara Pastachek and Rocky Welborn. So I'll let you guys introduce yourselves really quick.
Hi, I'm Barbara Pastachek, and I am the Business and Tech Career Pathway Lead over at San Andreas and also Special Education Teacher.
Hi, I'm Rocky Welborn. I'm a Senior Engineer at East Valley Water District, and excited to be chatting with you guys and talking about what we do.
That's awesome. Now what we're going to do is play an intro video that the students created and Ms. Pastachek created for you, Rocky, to talk a little bit about you and East Valley Water District.
Hi, I'm David Paniagua, a senior at San Andreas High School.
Hi, I'm Gigi Shelby, a senior at San Andreas High School.
We are excited to introduce our industry expert today
And tell you a little bit about East Valley Water District.
Rocky is a senior engineer at East Valley Water District. He has over 15 years of experience in water and wastewater. He attended Ruben Ayala High School, where he participated in track and cross country, and graduated with a diploma and certificate in computer technology.
Rocky continues college at Cal Poly Pomona, obtaining a bachelor's degree in civil engineering and a master's in engineering management.
Rocky is a registered professional civil engineer, board certified environmental engineer, project management professional, and a grade 5 wastewater treatment operator.
Rocky's roles and responsibilities with the district includes developer coordination, interagency coordination, management of district capital improvement projects, and long-term district project planning.
His duties require him to interface with the Water Districts GIS system on a daily basis to confirm utility information, perform engineering analysis, and support district operational decision-making. East Valley Water District is a county district formed in 1954 through an election by local residents who wanted water services by the public agency.
Originally called East San Bernardino County Water District, the name was changed to East Valley Water District in 1982.
The district was originally formed to provide domestic water service to the unincorporated and agricultural-based communities of Highland and East Highland. The district has a service population of approximately 102,000 and collects no tax money. All services are financed solely by rates. Customers pay only for the benefits and services they receive.
The district focuses on providing two services, water and storage.
To assure the highest quality, they hire trained professionals to operate and maintain the district's facilities. Learn more at www.eastvalley.org.
Cheryl, you're muted.
Welcome, Rocky. Thank you for being here.
That was great.
Awesome. So we're ready for your presentation. I'm going to go ahead and start it, and I'll let you control. It's all you.
Okay, well, thanks everybody, and specifically David and Gigi. That was such a nice introduction, so thank you very much. I know it's kind of nerve-wracking getting on camera like that, so that was very cool. I think your guys' group reached out to East Valley and asked us to provide kind of a real-world job opportunities that people can roll into through their high school programs, and I think this is a super cool program that your teachers are doing for you. Back when I was at Ayala High School a long time ago, I was in RSP programs there, and there wasn't a lot of outreach and what happens after high school. What do you do? It was just follow the same path as everybody else, and it was difficult sometimes, but I think it's so cool that your teachers nowadays are trying to develop or give you guys ideas on what post high school life is going to be, and maybe it would involve some sort of job at East Valley Water District. So let me show you a little bit about what we do. So they asked us to specifically present our geographic interface system, GIS system. I think we had a poll that we wanted to ask all of you about is related to how much you use GIS, or whether you know if you use GIS at all. So I think there's a poll that Cheryl was going to put out on the right side. I think there's a poll button. So if you guys can take a look at that and select one of those things that best fits your knowledge of GIS, that would be great, and we can talk about it once the results come in. Looks like you guys are doing it.
Are you able to see the entries coming in? Okay.
Yep. So while those results come in, I'm going to talk about what we're going to talk about. So this slide, I'm just going to tell you what this presentation is going to cover. We're going to talk about East Valley Water District as a whole, who we are and what we do. We're going to talk about specifically my roles and responsibilities in the engineering department. And then I'm going to talk about East Valley Water District's GIS system. And then we're going to try to do a live demonstration and show you guys what we use it for. And specifically, we're going to try to do a utility research and a model run, and I'll tell you more about those when we get there. And then we'll talk about potential career paths for people. And then the very next part is the part where we like to brag about cool and fun things that we're doing. And there's two great, cool, fun things that I think you guys either want to hear about or should hear about. And one of them is the Water and Resource Management Pathway Program, and the other is our Sterling Natural Resources Center. So this poll is getting filled out, and it looks like most people are saying they have no experience with GIS. A few people say, I at least know what it is. I've played around with it. There's some experts in here. All right, don't correct me if I'm wrong. So those people who say they have no experience with it, I think maybe you have more experience than you realize. If you've ever used Google Maps or Apple Maps, those are geographic information systems. So if you've had to figure out how long it's going to take you to get somewhere, and you've used one of those services, you've probably encountered GIS at some point. They use it differently than we use it at East Valley Water District, but it is maybe a stepping stone into GIS systems. And those experts, I'm excited to talk to you, and maybe at the end of this, we can find internship opportunities.
That would be awesome.
And then one of the things that we wanted to make sure was that if anybody had any questions while I'm presenting, feel free to chime in, and I'm going to be looking at you, Cheryl, to tell me if anybody's chiming in. Oh, I think the mic's down.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'll be sure to interrupt or let you know when we've got some questions. I'll keep an eye on the chat for you.
Thank you. So this is our district at a glance. We serve between 100 and 110,000 people in the city of Highland, city of San Bernardino, and unincorporated portions of San Bernardino County. We produce about 15 million gallons of water a day from 15 water wells and 1 surface water treatment plant. Our service area is about 30 square miles. We have 300 miles of water mains, 220 miles of sewer mains. Our maintenance crew is awesome. They repair tons of leaks, on a daily basis. So we have a metric there for how many water leaks they've repaired. We convey about 6 million gallons of wastewater and sewage a day. And pretty soon we're going to be able to say that we not only convey it, but we also treat it. Our sewer collection crew is amazing. They clean almost half of our sewer system regularly, and they also camera it so that we can identify any issues in our sewer mains that are underground and unseen. So they camera that, and we can help plan our future projects. And then we're currently going through a very big initiative to change out all of our residential and commercial water meters to automated meters, so that all those water usages get reported automatically to our systems for usage information and billing information. Let's see, and then I think we have a great video that talks a little bit about what we do and tries to make us look awesome. So I think Cheryl said she can play that.
Here at East Valley Water District, we think about public service a little differently than most.
So many times you hear people complain about government not being efficient, not being effective, not being forward-thinking, and we heard those comments loud and clear.
With innovative leadership, we embarked on a path to transform East Valley into a world-class customer service organization.
A lot of people can say that you want to be world-class, but you actually got to live it. You can't just say it.
We're proud to provide water and sewer service to 104,000 customers in San Bernardino County, striving to improve the quality of life of the communities we serve. It's a mission that starts at the top with clear goals and objectives established by our board of directors and general manager, carried out by every employee in our organization.
We've been able to achieve things that I think many people were surprised we were able to achieve. But when you have a destination and you have a direction, it's amazing what people can do. And we've been able to empower our staff, involve our community.
All right, you have a wonderful day though.
East Valley headquarters is just one example of exceeding expectations. We got it built under budget and 71 days early. Today, our home is a place people in the community come together. East Valley is taking the lead on the drought, teaming up with our families and businesses to conserve water. Our new budget-based rate structure meets the unique needs of every customer and allows us to invest in your water system for future generations. Others are taking notice. East Valley was honored with national awards for the architecture and delivery of our new building. We were selected for the 2015 Cal PERS Spotlight of Excellence Award, and we were also chosen as a top workforce in the Inland Empire, the only public agency to receive that award.
I think that we're breaking the mold on what people think and believe about public service and how public agencies can behave in a more business and goal-oriented, performance-based model, and I think the results are obvious to everybody that we serve.
All right. Get back to the slides here. If
we have a question from Ruben Gonzalez.
Hey, Ruben.
Hello. Good to meet you. I come from San Andreas School. My name is Ruben Gonzalez. I come from Hope's class with Bachelor. And good to meet you, Ms. Wilburn.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
I have a lot of questions for you.
Okay.
So if you you understand your water clean, how many people sick? Sometimes like people drink water. Oh, how do you clean that water? If some people say, but then if someone's sick of that same water, how do you clean it? What are you going to use?
So it all depends on where your water comes from. So a lot of our water comes from the ground. We pump it out of the ground, and groundwater is very, very clean. So once we pump it up out of the ground, we add chlorine in the form of bleach, and bleach kills microorganisms and things that typically make you sick. And then once it does that, it goes into our distribution system, and that's what ends up at your house.
Oh. How many chlorine? How many do you use that much of that people? How do you use that much to clean that water?
It doesn't take a lot of bleach to kill or to neutralize or disinfect microorganisms. It doesn't take very much. So as a percentage of how much water there is, it's very, very small.
Oh. Okay, and if that's true, do you clean at like a beach or like at the mountain water? Do you clean that much water like that? Because like some people like the trash or bad stuff. How do you clean that big gallon of water of that much?
So the water that we use to ultimately send to your house is from the ground. So it's water that's sat on the ground and then saturated into the soil. So if there was any trash or contaminants, it gets filtered through the ground.
Oh.
And it's ultimately pretty clean once it gets down there.
Okay.
Good questions, Ruben. Thank you. So we want to make sure we give people chances to ask some questions.
And Rocky continue his presentation.
Thank you, Ruben.
Thank you. It's good to meet you.
You too. Okay. All right. There we go. Next slide. So specifically talking about my roles and responsibilities, there's a lot of developer coordination. So whenever a developer comes in and wants to build houses or shopping centers or things like that, they talk to the city about all the roads and things they're going to need, and then they also come and talk to us about all of the water and sewer needs that they're going to have, and we have some back and forth and tell them how they can hook up to our system and use those services. I also do a fair amount of project management. So whenever a new pipeline, a water reservoir, a pump station, a pressure reducing valve, a well, like Ruben was talking about, or a treatment plant, those projects come through the engineering group, and we help administer those projects and ultimately plan them, design them, and build them and turn them over to operations for use. And that's kind of the fun part of engineering. When you go to school and you talk about becoming an engineer, that's what you think about. But in reality, most of our projects are about rehabilitation and restoration. So really old water tanks and old pipelines, they just deteriorate over time, and we need to come up with ways to make them last as long as possible, and then also fix them once they break. So a lot of what we do is about planning those type of fixes and developing long-term solutions that make our system reliable for the future. And then we also plan all those projects out for our long-term planning. So if we know that we have reservoirs that are getting old and need to be replaced sometime in the future, we put them into our plan. So instead of having it fall apart one day and then scrambling to fix it, we try to say that we're going to fix it ahead of time. And then we also coordinate with our operations group. So the operations group, they are great at what they do, and they maintain a safe, reliable supply to everybody's houses. And sometimes there's things that maybe aren't very easily identifiable, issues, compliance things that they would like some help with. And if we're able to, we try to lend a helping hand and help them with any sort of weird process troubleshooting or regulatory compliance issues there. And to Ruben's question, how do we ensure that water is safe? There's a bunch of organizations that put regulatory compliance measures out there for water suppliers. And the intent of those is to make sure that the public is safe with their drinking water. And that's what that regulatory compliance thing means, is that we strive to meet all of those requirements from those other government agencies. And specifically talking about our GIS, we use Esri. They're actually based out of Redlands, this is a global organization, and they started right in our backyard. So Esri started in Redlands, and they have a product called ArcGIS. And everybody thinks of GIS as this map tool, but it's really a lot more than that. It's a map, but it's also this database that comes in and intertwines with the map. So whenever you look at a map, or say you're looking at Google and you want to find out how long it's going to take to get from point A to point B, there's this extra data set behind the map that tells you what the traffic is, how long it's going to take, if there's any road work going on. All that's behind the scenes, and you don't see it, but the GIS system is using it to calculate your drive time. And in our system, we're using it to tell us, where our pipelines are, what materials they're made out of, and those sorts of things. So our common uses for GIS is that we locate all of our pipelines, and all of our assets, we can locate them in one place, and then we go to GIS and click on it and get all the information pulled up that we need. And we also use it as kind of our inventory tracker of all of our assets, because if you wanted to say plan to replace all of our really old assets, and you just went to a listing of a bunch of pipelines and you said, which ones do we replace? So that's a hard decision to make. But if you put it in a map and you can say, hey, filter out all of the pipelines that are older than, say, 50 years old, and show them on a map, it becomes a really powerful tool to inform our future decision making. And that's how we try to use it. And I'm also going to do 2 demonstrations here for how we use it. And you guys can see just how useful and powerful it is. And then we also have reference data. So a bunch of organizations create data that can go into GIS systems. The county does one for us that we use regularly, and that's the parcel property information. So all of your property lines are drawn into GIS, and we can pull that data from the county and drop it into our GIS and see where property lines lay and where roadway lines lay. And that's very helpful for us when we're trying to plan where to align our pipelines. We also have aerial imagery, and I think everybody's really familiar with this. If you've seen Google Maps or Apple Maps or any of those, it's typical aerial photography, and it helps orient you with where you are. And then a weird one, but it's actually very applicable to where we are at, is fault lines. The U.S. Geologic Survey has mapped all their fault lines, and the San Andreas Fault actually runs right along the northern edge of our service boundary, and that's really informative for us if we're trying to plan projects that maybe get too close to that fault line and could have some potential seismic concerns. And this picture on the right side of the slide, that's our GIS system, the map part of it. And I'm going to have a live demonstration for you. We're going to see more of that. So specifically data that we converted into our GIS system. So we call all the pipelines, sewer lines, and those sorts of things linear assets because they're in a line and they go for a long ways. And so we map them where they're physically located, but that back end where we have the data, we put the material that it is, the size that it is, when it was installed, and any sort of components that we installed with it. So that later on, when we come back to GIS, we know that all that information is there and we can get it all from one place. We also mapped in all of our easements. So whenever you have a pipeline that doesn't go within a street and it goes maybe through someone's backyard or something like that, we have to obtain right-of-way or easements, and we record those in our GIS system. We've also put all of our facility locations into GIS, so we know where everything's at. We have, I think it's 30 different satellite facilities, so sometimes you just need a little map help to figure out where you're going. And one of the really neat things that we did recently that is unique in our industry, and it's more people are going to it, is this infrared imagery. And so there was a plane that flew over and it took special pictures of our service area. Instead of the visual light spectrum, it used infrared imagery. And what that can do is tell us what portions of your property have vegetation on them and landscaping, or what portion is concrete, because they emit different infrared imagery. And once we had that, we were able to adjust our water rate structure and go to what everybody considers is a water conservation water rate structure. And then we also have some add-ons. There's a company called Innovise, and they make a bunch of different products. I think they were following Apple's naming convention, where they have iPhone, headphones, or whatever, iPods. They call everything info and then whatever it is. And we use their info water and info sewer, which are modeling things, software packages that make my job a whole lot easier.
Really quick, Rocky, can you, and just in case anyone that's listening, they may not know what an easement is, can you just quickly define that really quick?
Yeah, so if you wanted to have rights to a portion of property that maybe you didn't own, but you wanted to put something underground in that property. So if you built a pool in your backyard and you wanted to build a drain to go out to the street through somebody else's backyard, you can't just do that and have the other property owner be okay with it. I mean, you could, but you have some potential legal issues there. The legal way to go about doing that would be to obtain an easement from the other property owner, where the other property owner says, you know, I know this person is putting this storm drain here. They're going to compensate me for it, and they have the legal right to be there. And so for a pool, that's pretty simple. And for us, we're putting pipelines and those sorts of things. But if you get within a street, we call that public right-of-way, and public agencies are allowed to use that without easements.
Awesome, thank you.
So I think we're moving on to the live demonstration portion here. And I'm going to try to share my screen. Cheryl, if you can give me a confirmation that it worked, that would be great.
Yep, we can see it.
Okay. This is our GIS system. So this is the San Bernardino Airport. You can see my mouse?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the San Bernardino Airport. This is the 210 freeway that comes up here, and this is the 330 that goes up to Running Springs, I think, and Lake Arrowhead and Big Bear. So the demonstration I wanted to do with you guys is something I actually had to do about 2 weeks ago. We had a developer come in over here near our headquarters. I'm zooming in over here. So this is our headquarters building here. There's a lot of undeveloped land near our headquarters, and there's this citrus grove that is being, there's a developer that's going to put houses there and sell them in the future. And so what they said is we need to connect to your water and sewer lines. That's these two lines here to supply water and sewer service to these houses. And what we had to do was tell them how to hook up. So I click this information button here. I click on the sewer line. And this is the data that's behind the map that is so valuable to us. So it tells us that I selected a sewer, that's S, main. There's a facility ID number that we've assigned to it. There's a material, it's clay pipe. There's an as-built drawing here for, we'll get to that in a minute. We've assigned a grid number to it that helps us locate it in the future. The person who drew it into our GIS system was Lida, a very talented CAD technician who recently retired. And its size is a 15-inch. And if you keep going down, there's some more information here. But if you were a developer that wanted to hook up to that, you want to know exactly where it's at. Because if it's in the middle of the street and cars are whizzing by you, you don't want to chance anything. So what we do is we have an as-built drawing that's linked to our GIS system. And this is the drawing that actually built it when it was originally constructed. And so if they want to connect here, we show that it's on sheet 3. And I go to sheet 3 on this map. I can scroll down and see that the sewer line is 31.84 feet away from the center line, CL, of the roadway. So they know where it's at horizontally, and then how deep is it? Oh. I look up here on the profile view and I see that it's buried 7 feet below ground. So now that developer, when they come in to connect, they're going to dig right here, 7 feet down. They're going to know exactly where it's at, and then they can connect up to it very easy. And instead of having to go into the street and try to look for a sewer line, we're able to tell them exactly where that is. And that's a super cool tool for developers. It makes their job a lot easier.
That is really cool. And so, Mr. Welborn, I wanted to ask you a couple of questions. I did see some comments on the side that, you know, we think it's really interesting that there are clay pipes being used. If you could explain that, why we would use that. I see Chris Harmio is saying, why use the clay piping with sewer instead of PVC or non-rusting metal pipes? And then I have a couple other quick questions.
Those are great questions. Sounds like somebody's very informed. So this is vitrified clay pipe. So it's not the clay that you remember from your art classes where it's really you can mold it with your hands. This is clay that was put in a kiln, dried, and that it becomes hard. And the nice thing about clay pipes, specifically in sewer installations, is that it's not corrosive. So I think that person who asked that question, was it Chris?
Yes.
Really understands corrosion in sewer systems, because that was right to the point of their question. they asked why not use PVC pipe, and the answer is developers kind of have a choice to use both right now. They're both very good products, and in this particular installation, they chose to use VCP, vitrified clay pipe. And if you talk to people who've been in the industry a long time, they say properly installed vitrified clay pipe will last just as long as PVC, or if not longer. Does that answer your question, Chris?
I'm waiting to see if he responds in the chat. But while we're waiting for that, I did want to ask you, because I see you're using a lot of technology, the GIS mapping systems that you explained to us in there. And can you just maybe touch a little bit on, you know, I like to reach out as an educator, like these are times where you can apply your math skills and some of your science skills and your tech skills, things that you're learning every single day in school. Can you touch a little bit on that, how that expands into the jobs and positions that they have in the water district?
So when I was in school, I remember kids would say, why do I need to learn all this math when I have a calculator in my pocket? And to a certain extent, there's a little bit of truth to that. I'm not trying to take anything away from your instruction, but you do have a calculator in your pocket. But the biggest thing that you need to do as a professional is to be a critical thinker and problem solver. And too many people rely on that calculator to give them the answer and say, that's it. And maybe, you know, there was an error in putting the data into your calculator, or maybe you were just using the wrong math to calculate something. So there's that critical thinking, common sense approach that the only way I know to get that is to do that hard math and do all the legwork that you're doing in school, where you're doing it by hand and you're doing each step on its own and doing all that. So if let's just say for whatever reason there wasn't a drawing for this pipeline here, and there was a manhole here, and I measured it, and I said the bottom of the manhole is here, and there was another manhole here, and I said the bottom of it's there, and I want to know what the depth is here. Instead of having that drawing, you can calculate that with your algebra, and that's a linear integration, if you guys have gone through that. And then the other nice thing is if you guys have had science-based classes, you understand cause and effect. So that's the whole point of a lot of your experiments, is you're going to do something and measure something else. And it seems kind of common sense to a lot of people, but always understanding your actions have downstream consequences. That's something that for whatever reason gets taken for granted with a lot of people, and being able to understand what you did and what it can potentially impact is something that I think is valuable. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you. It's nice to be able to see how they can apply the skills that they're actually using every day in school, and so it makes it meaningful. So that the outcome is beneficial for them to, to continue with the math and the sciences. They can actually utilize this in getting positions in the real world. And so I wanted to also ask you, about how many employees do you have in the water district? And it's not just all working with the maps and the GIS, but it goes beyond that.
Oh, yeah. We have tons of different programs, and that's part of our pathway program, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later. But we have about 87 employees, ranging from field maintenance workers to those videos that you guys are watching. We have a very talented public affairs staff that helps to create those. We have admin staff, we have customer service, we have accounting and finance. It's a whole spectrum of services. It's not just engineers and operators. it's a full group of people. One other thing that I wanted to tell you about when you're learning in school that you apply on a daily basis, even as an engineer, is communication. So all the calculations and things we do here, it's all nice, but if you can't communicate everything you've calculated and everything you understand to someone else, it doesn't end up with the end result that you're looking for. So having good communication, good writing skills, and verbal skills, those are probably the two best things that you can take away from your high school experience, is just how to communicate with people. And you guys all seem very smart, and I'm sure you'll pick up other technical skills along the way.
I wanted to add to that too, with the math and the science skills, it helps you with the problem solving. For instance, you may have the calculator in your hand, but if you don't know what formulas to use to be able to figure out how, because there's so many different ways to solve a problem, and but just having that calculator isn't going to be enough. You have to learn and know how to apply those, as well as your problem solving skills, as you said earlier, Rocky, where it's like the cause and effect. If I do this, this will happen, and being able to predict that. And I know all of you guys are having lots of assignments when it comes to that sort of thing, and you just get practice with it by doing all those assignments.
The next demonstration that I wanted to show you guys, I spent 2 years in college learning how to calculate these things, and then this program does it 1,000,000 times a second. And yeah, I could just trust that data, but all that legwork that I put in college to understand those calculations helps me when I look at that data and say, that's not right, and refining it a little bit. If you guys don't mind me showing you that tool.
Oh, that would be perfect. And I like that you're showing, yes, that you can look at the calculator, but take it a step beyond that. So you review it. And if you understand the whole process that goes along with it, then you're able to apply it better. Thank you.
Yeah. So this is we call it a hydraulic model. And each of these little green dots is the beginning or the end of a water pipeline. And so the goal here is, when we use this, is to be able to calculate, if we have a user taking a lot of water right here at this node, what is the impact to all these people, and all those people? And you can see just how many dots are here. If you have to calculate between every single one, that's a lot of calculations. If this was your homework assignment, you'd be working on this for years. So if we zoom back here to our headquarters, I think we had a poll that said, hey, how much water do you think a water park is going to use? And I had this idea that if we had a developer and said they wanted to put a water park in here, and they're going to need a lot of water because they're a water park, how does that process go? Do they just say, I want millions and millions of gallons of water, and then we have to make it work? That's not very fair to us or to our local residents. So what we have to do is we use this model. So we have something we call this EX existing, PhD is peak hour demand, and SS means solid state. It's all modeling lingo. But I can run this model. And so for every single node that you saw on that big map, it's doing a series of calculations that I learned in college over 2 years. And it's doing every one of those. And it already did it.
Wow.
I couldn't even write the problem that fast, and it's already done it. And then now, when I click on this node, because this is where they're going to connect, I can tell them that they have 83 pounds per square inch of pressure. But if they told me, you know what, I need 4,000 gallons a minute. So coming out of your garden hose, if you turn your garden hose on full blast, that's about 10 gallons per minute. And they're going to say that they need, 400 times that. I can run this model. It's calculating, it's doing its thing down here. It's still going. So it already ran it. And then now, when I look at this point, it says that they're going to take 4,000 gallons per minute, but now their pressure, instead of 83 PSI, is going to go down to 26 PSI. They might not care, but I'm in this building and I need to use the restroom and I need pressure to flush the toilet and do those sorts of things. And now this place only has 16 PSI. So it wouldn't be fair for a water park to take that much water right here when it has implications to our headquarters and to these people over here. So you can kind of see how powerful that is. And if I blindly trusted this number, and because we've put a lot of work into this system and calibrated it, we feel pretty confident that these numbers are correct. But what if this number wasn't calculating correctly, or there was something wrong with the way that I drew these lines and they didn't connect? And this number didn't change when I said there was 4,000 gallons of usage here. Those are the kind of things that you need to be able to identify when you're looking at these systems. And it's nice to rely on technology, but not be completely dependent upon them.
Well, I want to liken it to a recent experience that I had when you're talking about the GIS mapping. It just clicked with me. The Redlands post office by me moved. And I put in the GIS map to find out where the new location was. And it got me there, said you have arrived like a block and a half before I actually arrived. And so I had to use my skills to look around, and I saw a mail truck, a U.S. Post Office truck come out. So I had to use problem-solving skills. Oh, it must be in that direction, just kind of guessing, because there wasn't anything around me to be able to help out with that along the way. So I can't always trust the technology on that. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I think so.
People who have that with maps or Google Maps or iPhone Maps, where it gives you driving directions that don't make sense.
Yeah. So when we did set up this system too, we put hundreds and hundreds of hours into setting up this system, and to get it to the point that it spits out some pretty reliable results. But those hundreds and hundreds of hours relied on all of that foundational math that we had built up over the years. And there's all kinds of correction factors applied to this model that get it to the point that it's reliable, that we've used that foundational math that you guys are probably learning in some of your math and science classes.
For the water park, it was how much water would a park use in a day? I just ran them. So 20% said 20,000 gallons, 10% said 500,000 gallons, and then 70% said 900,000 gallons.
Let me pull that up and we can talk about it. So if they said they used 1 million gallons a day, so that's the top end of that. That would be a lot of water. That would be almost 10% of what we produce on a daily basis. And that would be hard to supply, to be perfectly honest with you. So we would probably have a back and forth with those people saying, hey, let's install some on-site cleaning systems and things like that, so that when you do need the water, you can refilter it on site and reuse it, and then hopefully get them down to maybe this 500,000 gallon or less daily demand. And that's the back and forth that we have with developers. And so it's not always a one-way street. Thanks, guys, for answering these poll questions. It's pretty neat to see.
Nice. You want to go back to the slide, or?
Yeah, that'd be great. So I think next we're talking about career paths. Let's see here. So becoming maybe a GIS specialist, and one of the things the district has talked about in the past, and specifically when we started our Pathways program, is that there's a lot of great job opportunities that don't follow the traditional college path. And being a GIS specialist is one of those things. There is a pathway where you can get your associate's degree at a community college, and that's a great path. I think Valley District has a couple classes, either in GIS or computer science or engineering, and you can get an associate's degree, and it's great. There's also other ways to do that. Esri, the company that we use for our GIS software, they have a bunch of certificate programs to get people proficient in using their software, and it ranges all the way from introductory to GIS to the highest levels of GIS sophistication. And so I think we provided a link for you guys that is going to be provided in a pamphlet later on. And what I think is so cool about these certificate programs is if you're not a traditional education student, and maybe you struggle with, for me, it was foreign language. To get my foreign language requirement in high school and college was a struggle. But it didn't mean that I didn't have the knowledge or ability to do what I was really there for, which was engineering. And these certificate programs help people demonstrate that they have a base knowledge of what they're there for. And I think that's great. Esri is probably the industry leader in providing those certification programs. If you want to go for the bachelor's degree, there's more and more colleges are offering GIS majors. I think the University of Redlands has one. But traditionally, it's been through civil engineering, and they have a heavy focus in computer-aided drafting or just regular drafting. And then the next thing that I can't stress more is get some work experience. It's even if it isn't specifically what you're looking to do, just the ability to say that you have some work experience and you can work with people is a big deal. And then I have our Pathways program on here because we like to sell ourselves as much as possible, and we have a Pathways program. And I'll be talking more about that, I think, in a few slides here. And it's a great program, especially for high school students. If you want to become an engineer, the route is more of the traditional college route. There are pathways for people to obtain the highest level licensing without college, but it's difficult. And the college programs are where you'll probably get your first introductions to traditional engineering courses, but it builds upon the physics and math that you've learned in your classes right now. So if you want to get into water treatment or wastewater treatment, that's either civil, mechanical, construction, or chemical engineering. I was a civil, and it's worked out real well for me. And then there's a series of certification steps and licensing steps for engineering training and professional engineering license. Those are nationally proctored exams. Those are national tests with national standards that you demonstrate competency in those areas. And then again, you want to get your work experience. Demonstrate that you're able to work with people and communicate with people. And then as a promotion, our Pathways program is available. And I think our next two slides talk about our Pathway program. And I have a video here. Oh, one more slide and then a video. So our Pathways program, we started it in February of 2020. So it's really, really new. We partnered with San Bernardino City Unified School District and San Bernardino Valley College to provide hands-on training in wastewater, and it's also very easily applicable to our water or other disciplines. You get courses that are taught by, or you can discuss them with certified field and industry experts. Did I just see David pop up?
Hello.
Hi, David. Program and college credits. And if there's state licensing or certifications that have experience requirements, you also get experience towards those certifications, which is incredibly valuable, especially when you're trying to apply for jobs in those areas. To say that you have experience or that you're working your way towards a license is huge when you're trying to apply for those jobs. And then, so we started it as a partnership with Indian Hills High School, which is right across the street from our wastewater treatment plant that we're building right now. But with COVID and the shift to distance learning, we've opened the program up to all the high schools, I think in the San Bernardino City Unified School District. So it's open, it's offered at no cost, and there's a lot of virtual classes. it's a great opportunity for people to get skills in jobs that maybe they don't know about, but are high quality jobs with great benefits and great pay. I tell people that if I knew what I knew now, I might not have gone to college. I might have become a wastewater treatment plant operator. It's a lucrative job. I see a question there.
Yes, I'm sorry, my computer was. I have my question is, if someone working, how do you work with them? It's like COVID-19, right?
Mm-hmm.
And people are scared, but how, like you said, I know like we go to college, but how you work if you can't go if the COVID-19?
It's a challenge. It really is. So our district has done a really proactive job of trying to keep people separated and use appropriate personal protective measures. So the face masks, and they provide hand sanitizer, and then we also try to limit contact as much as possible. So like we're having this virtual conference, we have virtual meetings and those sorts of things. So we can't mitigate the risk to zero. That's not realistic, and we need to keep our business moving. But we're taking kind of reasonable steps to work in this situation. But the most important thing is that our management has empowered us and tells us that if you don't feel safe in a situation, don't do it. Mm-hmm. And that so there's a bit of personal responsibility that we all have to maintain.
Yeah, because like it's like everything have COVID-19, water, health, like everything, right? But like, how do you control like your work? Don't panic, and how like
have to go out in the public as part of our job, and we just try to be safe with our face masks and our hand sanitizer, and then also trying to keep a physical separation from people. And ultimately it's left up to everybody to try to follow the same requirements that you hear from your teachers about what you're supposed to do. Is we try to do that and still get our job done. And there isn't a great answer to a lot of these challenges that we're all facing.
Yeah.
And that's a good question, Ruben. I'm glad that you're focusing on safety, because they're essential workers. So we still need them because we still need clean water. We need to keep everything up and running. So good questions on asking that. I know David has a question too, so we'll give him
So I had a question about the clay pipes. When you were using them the first time, was it easy or hard?
So they've been used for over 100 years. It's a real old product, and it's hard to install. So they're very brittle. So when you're carrying them with a crane and trying to lay them into a trench, sometimes they get damaged. But once they're installed and you've backfilled them with sand and you've cushioned them in the ground, they last a very, very long time.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dave. Okay. And then I think we have a video here about our Pathways program. And if you have your pens out, there's a name at the end to email if you want to participate.
My name is John Mura. I'm the General Manager and CEO of East Valley Water District.
I have a great privilege to work on something that's very valuable, which is water.
What I like most about my job is, I would say, the freedom.
Getting out in the community and meeting new customers every day, working outdoors, working with the guys, working on something new every day.
Working with your hands and getting all muddy, it's cool.
Right when you think you know everything, there's a new challenge that arises and you learn even more.
So I start from the bottom and I move my way up from meter reader to field service worker to water production operator.
I've worked at East Valley Water District for 14 years. On the days that you don't feel good, they uplift you. and you go home happier than when you came in. So I really like that part.
This is a great opportunity for students to get hands-on learning and enter into a very exciting career that gives back to your communities.
It'll get your feet wet and ready for the water world.
I love my job. I love my career. I couldn't imagine doing anything else. Just be determined and don't give up.
East Valley Water District is committed to making investments in our community, not only in the infrastructure, but in our future leaders. If you're interested in a career in public service, please step forward and apply today.
That's a good looking group of people, right?
Yes, thank you.
I think Carrie is on. Oh, we got somebody, Charles. Oh. Hi, Charles.
Mm-hmm. You have a question, Charles? Can you ask it, please? Oh, your microphone is off. Turn it on so it's blue.
There you go. I think we should be able to hear you now.
Okay, try to talk.
Oh,
there you are, Charles.
Okay. All right. I heard the last question you said. You said so I make sure like about the water change like pressure. Yeah, they change out the temperature, the hose, they change the hose and clean that. About learn the school about the school how to learn by work stuff, electronics, something like that. And then the school, they said the other one on the water school thing on the district school, and about the other school, Valley College stuff, like learn, like to do, like do something like do like your mind stuff, like readings.
Okay, so
like,
Charles, can I help you with that a little bit? Because I don't want you to retell the story, but to just ask your question. So are you asking, are there classes that you take over at Valley College that will help to get jobs at East Valley Water District?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the Valley District offers a lot of classes that will get you certified in things that we try to look for in who we employ. And also part of the Pathways program is you kind of get your foot in the door. You get to meet the people who work here. And the best thing you can do for trying to find a job is to develop a relationship with the people who you may be working with or who may hire you. And that's the whole intent of the Pathways program, is to try to give people a foot in the door, and then also in return, provide them with knowledge and skills and hands-on learning. I know that was the best way I learned in school, was through hands-on learning and seeing it in person.
And we try to do that when we're in virtual teaching right now, but we do have hands-on technology, and we work with hydroponic systems. And Charles is one of our experts in there who knows how to reassemble and disassemble the 6 different systems that we're currently using in the classroom. So he is one of our experts in there that actually teaches new students who are entering the program, general ed, special ed, and also anybody who comes in to visit. So when we're back in session, you're going to have to come visit us, Mr. Welborn.
Yeah. I would love to. Yeah, that sounds like a real cool program. And that's another thing, Charles, if you make yourself indispensable, that's good for your job prospects.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah.
Thank you, Charles. That was a good question.
Charles.
Good job, Charles. I think the final thing in our presentation is we want to brag when we do things great and do things world class. And this is the best example that I think you'll ever see of anything like that. So this is our Sterling Natural Resources Center. It's our new sewage treatment plant. So right now we convey all of our water down to San Bernardino County, and now we're going to build this facility so we can treat it. And the Pathways program was created to try to give students experience into this world and how to become a wastewater treatment plant operator. Okay, we got the video playing.
Sterling Natural Resource Center will provide a place for family and friends and the community to come together.
It will bring all sorts of economic components together.
It will bring independence for our cities, for water resources.
Sterling Natural Resource Center will bring a lot of positive change.
It's helping every age group.
So this right here is the wastewater treatment plant, a rendering of it. So if you haven't seen a treatment plant before, those are big things, are digesters. There's food waste receiving. There's a thickening building with the doors with the numbers on them. There's that big yellow crane structure is the membrane biological reactors, and those big covered basins are the aeration basins. And that's the ops building right there. And we're gonna have drought tolerant plants all around the landscape there. And then this video moves over to our community center. So this project is two-sided. It has a wastewater treatment plant, it has a community center. This is gonna be available for the public to have events at or meetings, and also provide us a second location where we can have customer interactions with people. And this park is part of a bigger initiative to involve our community and improve our community. So this whole area is available for birthday rentals, wedding rentals, and things like that. And we really like to highlight that this is an investment in our community, and it demonstrates that we're here for the long haul to try to improve the area that we provide service to. These are the project partners. And that was a quick little video just to show you in that area.
Where is that going to be located? I think the students would be familiar with it.
So 5th Street and Del Rosa Road, just north of the San Bernardino Airport.
Oh, so this is not where I attended a wedding before. It looks very similar to the spot that I have been to where there was a wedding before.
So we also use our headquarters facility for rentals, and it is, I'm going to be biased and say the new place is going to be beautifuler, but that's also an incredible place for weddings and a great asset to the community.
Well, when we get back into where physical teaching back in the classroom, we'll have to come take a physical tour.
We would love to have you. Yeah.
Ms. P, isn't that address, location, 5th and Del Rosa, isn't that near Indian Springs High School?
Yes, it's not that far. It's just we can get there within minutes in our vans.
Great. So some of the other things to highlight with that program is that we tell everybody that's creating a new source of water for the region. So you guys all know that living in Southern California, we have a drought climate, and any new sources of water to keep in our service area is a huge deal. And that's what really makes the economics of this project work. The finished clean water gets recharged into the local groundwater basin where it can be used later for other beneficial uses. We're going to have the Pathways program to provide educational courses. There's also that community center to provide a community space. We're also improving the neighborhoods with street improvements, sidewalks, and all those sorts of great things. And we're also creating renewable energy and providing a place where food waste, so all the food that gets maybe spoiled at the grocery store has to go somewhere. And in the past, it went to landfills. Now we're going to take it into this facility. And when we treat it in our wastewater treatment plant process, it's going to produce methane gas that we can run engines off of and produce electricity, which helps to improve the demand on the community's electrical grid and also reduce the cost it takes to treat wastewater. and we have a state-of-the-art technology to make sure that the odors from wastewater treatment plant, you can imagine those are stinky and not fun to deal with. But a huge part of the project is to try to make sure that we don't negatively impact our neighbors. And we're covering almost all of the treatment process and putting it through odor control system. And then also the water that gets treated through here is going to be incredibly high quality, and it can be used for beneficial uses once we put it into the Bunker Hill Basin. And all that's going to be monitored regularly. That was the video. And then we wanted to have a discussion. If anybody had any questions, I'd be glad to talk about them. I think we went a little long, but it was nice talking to everybody.
Definitely. I'm going to scroll through some of the questions that I saw come out. Deborah Tivy was asking, what about repurposed water? If you can talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the water that goes through that Sterling Natural Resources Center is reclaimed water. So there's a bunch of allowable uses that the state has said is okay. A lot of them are irrigation based. We're not doing that. We're going to put it right into the groundwater. And once it gets into the groundwater, it can be pumped up and used for a whole host of different other uses, including drinking water.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Me again. I have one question too, about you. My question is, like, I know, like, I heard you about, like everything on the Google map or the water.
Mm-hmm.
How much water on school, like our school, San Andreas School?
I'm saying, how much water does your school use?
Yes.
I don't know that specifically, but I would guess that you're probably, as a school, using like 100 gallons per minute of water. So that would be 100,000 gallons of water a day, or 150,000 gallons of water a day.
Wow.
Between your kitchen, your bathrooms, and
to wash it, to cleaning, stuff like that. And okay.
What's amazing is if you have efficient appliances, so like the toilets and the urinals, if those are low flush toilets, they make a big difference in how much water you use or your school uses over time. And those can make a big difference.
Okay.
Did you have another question?
Yes, and I remember you said recycling. How much of water like this? How much water do you have to add more water like this? Like all the cities or different people want to drink water, but people are fighting. But how much water you have to add more?
So in one day, I think I know what you're asking. So in one day, we treat 6 million gallons of water at our wastewater treatment plant when it comes online. That bottle of water,
is it like different waters?
I'm sorry?
It's a lot of different waters, like the big one, the small one, the sodas, big gallon too. Like it's a lot of waters.
Yeah, so that water bottle that you have there, I think there's probably about 10 of those to a gallon. So there would be 60 million of those water bottles produced every day if we filled up those water bottles.
Wow, that's a lot.
It's a lot of water, yeah.
And very hard for all to control it, all the water each time, or it's all different time?
Yeah, so it's all coming in throughout the day, and we need to figure out how to control it and how to move it where we need to move it and do all that. And that's the work that I have to do to try to figure out how to do that.
Thank you, Ruben. Those are really good questions.
Thank you. I have a lot of questions outside.
That's good.
I think Coral had a question. Let's see. Oh, someone just left the room. Where's her question? Coral. She said, what happens if the water gets dirty underground and are you guys able to still clean it?
That's a great question. And there's tons of research into how to do that. And it all depends on how it gets contaminated and what it gets contaminated with. And yes, we have ways to treat it. It just all depends on what it gets contaminated with. but there's a whole industry that just tries to answer that question. And so when you pump it out of the ground, you run it through a treatment system to treat whatever is there. If there's nothing there, it's great. You just add chlorine. But if there is something, we call that wellhead treatment. And it's hard to say, what that is, because it's different for every single site.
Well, is that the end? I think that's the end of your presentation.
That is, but I'd be glad to answer any questions if anybody had anything else.
You had some really good feedback in here too. People saying they really like it, they really enjoyed it. It was a good presentation. So very informative. Thank you so much.
Definitely. Can we get everybody on the chat to say thank you to Mr. Welborn for the presentation, and if you can also type in what you liked about it, what your favorite part of the presentation was. That would be great. I liked personally looking at all the miles of pipe. That infographic that you had in the beginning was really interesting. Even the number of cameras that you have on your service area it's crazy. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's a really sophisticated system. And so pointing out that there's other careers at East Valley that aren't what you'd think of. We have a graphic design person who created that graphic for us, who was very talented, and we may be looking for more people like that.
Awesome.
Oh, and I realized I forgot to mention, and I think Carrie's on the call here. She's our human resources director. There's also jobs in human resources that are incredibly satisfying and fulfilling. So you might want to consider that for the Pathways program.
That's what I wanted to ask too. It looks like you have a big office area, and especially if you're expanding into another beautiful facility and then you're renting it out, that you would need not only clerical staff, but people to be able to run the whole gambit of entertaining.
There was a staffing plan that was developed to hire more staff, and I'm not fully up to speed on how many people we were hiring for the community side. I've been more involved with the wastewater side, but there are a few full-time positions related to facilities maintenance that are going to need to be filled, and those people, I mean, they got to be a jack of all trades and know how to do a lot of different things. And so, there's a few extra positions there, and also in customer service. So people that answer the phones and talk to customers about it.
And I know Miss Cheryl also asked class for you guys to type in what you liked about the presentation. So if you still have another minute to go ahead and type in something that you liked, we'd like to be able to hear from you, please. You're muted, Miss Cheryl.
I keep forgetting to undo that. Sorry. Sergio says, presentation was very informative. Thank you. Maria says, thank you so much. I love it. Chris was saying, thank you very much. The GIS tool seems very useful and informative. And then Maria says, me too. I like it. Good presentation. It's a beautiful place to have weddings. And thank you for sharing for the opportunities on the pathways. I like how you put into light the different careers at the Water District. When you hear Water District, at least I do, typically will think of just a water technician, and that's the only job. So it's great that you put in there that it's basically all different aspects of business.
Yeah, we're a full business. And it's eye-opening once you actually get your foot in the door. So maybe if there's opportunities that your students have, or maybe it's not what they're looking to do ultimately, but just get in somewhere and then see what's around, that could potentially lead to opportunities for them. I think the Pathway program is a great opportunity to do exactly that. Get your feet wet and see what you like.
Well, they're nice because like you said, the hands-on skills, and a lot of those skills are transferable into other areas, I've noticed. So it's not just, limited to one area. You're getting experience that can be applied in multiple areas of employment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, David wrote a little cute comment. Really enjoyed this, guys. Got some information from that. Be excellent and party on.
Party on.
I think he saw that there were venues there to be able. And David has a sense of humor.
I think David was the one that asked about the corrosive pipe question. And sounds like he did some research before this presentation to have pointed questions like that. So that was really nice to see. Thank you, David.
Awesome. Well, that concludes the virtual classroom. We really appreciate you coming and taking time to present to us. The videos are very informative. It doesn't beat actually being there in person and to take the tour in person, but it helped give us a overview and something to look forward to when we can all get back out there.
And we appreciate, too, the fact that we can utilize these videos to be able to reach out to students who can't do field trips always across the district anyway. Even when we go back in person, this gives them an idea of what you're about.
Oh, thank you. Once everything clears up, if you guys want to come out for a site tour, we are more than happy to try to say how great we are. And you guys are great, too.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. All right, guys. That's it for us. Thank you for coming in. Charles just said thank you so much. Very nice. Good job. Thanks for speaking about the water. So we're going to wrap up now and enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for staying on as long as you guys have.
Thanks, everybody.
All right. Bye.